Hello and welcome to Game 1 in Pauper with Midnight God. Looks like we're going to be on the play. This hand actually looks keepable. Soul Warden / Soul Attendant and go from there. Yeah, I think I'm going to keep this hand. It seems solid. We're not going to be doing anything on turn 2 except for playing another Soul Warden. So I think the Selesnya Sanctuary is fine here as our only second land. As our only non-basic land other than the Plains. So I'm not sure what our opponent is playing, but I think this hand is solid all the way around. We don't have our combo piece, either of them actually, but we have Protection and we have Sprout Swarm. We have 2 Sprout Swarms, so even if our opponent is playing counterspells, we'll get there. We'll actually be able to start using it by turn 3 and using it with buyback. But I'm probably just going to test the waters with a non-buyback Sprout Swarm. It also will depend on what lands our opponent plays. Because if they play an island, they're basically guaranteed to have counterspells. So we're just going to play the Soul's Attendant first. And then we'll see what our opponent has to do on their first turn of the game. Alright, so Swamp. Duress. Disfigure. Okay. Yeah, that'll happen. So we're playing against mono black, I think. Might be blue-black teachings. And bouncing our land. We're not going to be able to start Sprout Swarming on turn 3 like I planned. But at least we got a Disfigure out of their hand. That's a Disfigure that's not going to target anything else important. Generally, if this is mono black, they should run about maybe 3 in the main deck. But I'm okay with them throwing it away on a Soul Warden or a Soul's Attendant early on. So, depending on whether or not they play a creature this turn, we might just play Journey to Nowhere on turn 2. Chain. Alright. Yeah, I'm thinking this is mono black control. So we drew a combo piece, but I'm just going to pivot, but I don't want to chance it. I'd rather wait till we have God's Willing up. I'm probably just going to play Sprout Swarm, number 1's fine. Okay, it's not revealed, so I'm just going to put one of the Sprout Swarms on top. Play the other one, and then we can draw that one. So, cast Sprout Swarm. We get a 1/1. Make it a little bit more difficult for them to make us sack the guard. Now, we could do Journey to Nowhere, target the Chittering Rats, but I don't know if that's good. We could play the guard, but it just might need a targeted removal spell. I think I'm going to risk it and play the guard. If we don't, if it gets removed, it gets removed. We have 4 in the deck, and we have other good cards. So I'm just going to pass. Not going to attack into his 2/2 with my 1/1. Mostly the 1/1 is there, so that way if he tries to Edict us again with Diabolic Edict or another Chainer's Edict, we just sack the Saproling. So our opponent plays a Swamp, and I'm willing to bet that they attack first, but if they do, I'm not going to block because of Disfigure. Because Disfigure can't kill the guard yet. If we get to untap, I'm very confident in our Midnight Guard living. I'm just going to take the 2 here. Because I don't want to give up my sack fodder. So they disfigure the token. I think I'm going to cast this in response. Because he's got 2 mana up, which is enough for Chainer's Edict and Diabolic Edict. So we lose our Sprout Swarm, but that does mean we get to keep our Midnight Guard if they try to make a sack a creature. So they just pass. Evangel is the draw. We're going to play that and start making tokens as fast as we can, so that way that they can't make us sack efficiently. So this way we can just sack tokens forever. And you might be wondering why I didn't attack. And I'm not attacking because I plan to start... Okay, that's fine. We're going to put the Journey to Nowhere on top. Because having our creatures untapped and being able to block is important right now. And there's no real need for us to attack and open ourselves up to some blowout. So we drew the journey, which we knew was on top. I think I'm okay with just passing again. With this deck, we're not really looking to beat down right away. I'm just looking to generate enough value and enough mana and enough tokens to where I can kill them in one shot. Liliana's Spectre. Each opponent discards a card. I think I'm okay with discarding the journey. I would rather... Alright, so in response to this, I'm actually going to activate this. So now we have 2 Saplings. Our Midnight Guard on taps. Always yield. And then I'm going to discard the journey. The reason I'm discarding the journey is just to make sure that our guard is protected, because we are playing against black. They do run targeted removal spells, so I'd rather keep my guard protected. So since we drew another God's Willing, I'm gonna attack. And they're gonna block, which is fine. They might even double block, but I'm okay with killing their creatures. So we're gonna go to combat. Now this God's Willing isn't there. I'm not gonna do it pre-combat. I don't really care about getting in for 2, but I do care about disrupting their board. So let's see what our opponent does. Block 1, block 2. Okay. Okay, so triple block. This is actually really good for us. We're going to kill the Spectre. So we're going to give it pro black. The reason I'm killing the Spectre over the other 2, even though I can't kill the other 2, if I kill the Spectre, is because the Spectre has flying. We do not want that planes. Pro black, coda damage. That's fine. Spectre down. Pass the turn. Opponent plays a land. They have 2 cards left, so they can't have anything good. Unless there's a Gray Merchant that's about to come down. Another Spectre. Well, since we're going to discard it anyway, I'm just going to play out the God's Willing, just to get the Scry and give it protection until end of turn. Protection, I'm sure isn't going to come into play, but alright, so we got a Midnight Guard on top. I don't know how I feel about this, because in column A, for the reasons to keep this, it's another piece of the combo. We can, if we get another Sprout Swarm, it's 2 that it's going to be 2 mana that we'll always have for Convoke and Buyback. So making the Convoke effectively cost 3 with Buyback. But it doesn't win us the game. It's not Presence of God. It's not a Sprout Swarm. It's just another 2/3 that does nothing right now. So I think I'm going to send it to the bottom. And before we change phases, I am going to make a Saproling. Just to get as much value as we can before they kill us. So our opponent passes. We drew Blossoming Sands, which is unfortunate. I'm going to play it to gain the life, and because if we just discard it, then, which I anticipate would be what happens, or if we put it back on top with Chittering Rats, it does us no good. So, like, bluffing the 1 card in hand doesn't help us when they run Chittering Rats and they run Spectre, because they just put it back on top and then we draw a land over and over and over and over, so the bluff doesn't do us any good. Plus, the 1 life could come out to be irrelevant in this matchup. We don't know yet. They do have Grey Merchant, and if they play Grey Merchant of Asphodel, we're taking 2, 4, 6, 8 damage, and they gain 8 life. Well, it's not damage, it's life loss, but irregardless. Alright, so I did forget to Evangel, but it doesn't matter because we drew the Sprout Swarm. So I'm just going to pass again, and I'm going to start generating tokens. Since we don't have Presence of God, this is what we have to rely on. We can do it, I think, 2, maybe 3 times. Provided they don't disrupt this at all. If they attempt to disrupt it, like with the Chittering Rats, I'll just put it back on top because I do kind of want to keep it. But if they duress, I'm just going to put it in the, not cast it without buyback and let it go to the yard. So I'm always going to tap this Midnight Guard from now on, just because it essentially reduces the cost by 1. The reason I'm tapping mana for this is because we have no reason not to. We're not holding up mana for anything anymore, at least in terms of this turn. So I'm perfectly fine with tapping my lands for this. And that's it. That's all we can do. So Blossoming Sands is the draw. Alright, so this kind of comes back to what I was saying earlier. Is there a really good reason to bluff the 2 cards here? I really don't think there is. It's not anything we really need to do right now. We're not concerned about having cards in our hand. I'm just going to pass again, even though I have more than enough creatures to get in for damage, but they just die. We want to generate enough card advantage that, or creature advantage rather, that they just can't handle what we're doing, even if they have better creatures than us, which they do. But they're just going to be down for 2 for a while. And eventually play Grey Merchant. That's their plan, I think, or a Gurmag Angler. But while they do that, we're just going to start buying back our Sprout Swarm. Now, this is the part where this deck can get into trouble, is you can go to time pretty easily with Sprout Swarm because it's so time consuming to click through all of these creatures and make sure you hit everything, make sure you get as much value as possible. So, Blossoming Sands number 3. Again, I think it's worth it. Just play it, get it out of the hand, and go from there. Now, I have more of a reason to attack since I have plenty of creatures, but I'm still not going to. I'd rather generate... I wish we could draw... I wish we still had our Soul Warden and Soul's Attendant, because we would have gained all of our life back by now. If we draw one of those, I think we're going to be in really good shape. Tendrils of Corruption. So that's a lot of damage he's going to be dealing to that guard. So I think I'm... time to start generating tokens. We got there. So, like I was saying in the deck tech, the Paladin Microderm is planned. Alright, let's go to the sideboard. So, I do think the Scattershot Archer comes in, just to deal with the Spectre. The Outlander definitely comes in. Perhaps the Standard Bearer. I didn't see a whole lot of targeted removal, other than Disfigure. So, I'm not entirely sure how I feel about it. We'll come back to it. We'll keep it. We'll keep this one in our back pocket, I think. Now, what do we cut? I think we cut 1 Paladin Microderm, as good as it was at the end. It is a 4-drop. So, generally, I like to slice the Microderms, because as you saw, we did draw a lot of land, but that's not typical. A lot of times we'll be stuck on 3 or 4. Not saying that in a bad way, but it is something that comes up. So cutting one of the more expensive cards isn't always the worst thing to do. I'm going to cut 1 Evangel, even though that's what got us started, just because it dies to Disfigure. I'm looking at these Scatter the Seeds, and I'm a little skeptical about them. I know that they're going to bring in board wipes. It costs 5, and it deals 2 damage to each creature in black. I can't remember exactly what it is, but I'm sure that that's coming in. So I'm going to leave all these armors in and the spider silk armor. So I'm going to cut one scattershot archer. We only really need one. I think I'll cut the 2 scatter the seeds. Maybe 1 sprout swarm, because once we get 1 in hand, that's all we need. We are up a game, so if we lose, we lose, and we can adapt from there. But I think that this is fine as it is. So we're going to run it back like that. And we are on the draw, so this hand is iffy. We have 1 land. We have all these white 1-drops, and we have the Midnight Guard, but it's really iffy. I think I'm going to go to 6. We are on the draw. This hand is also bad, but I'm going to keep it. Scry that straight to the bottom. We have all the lands we need forever. We get a free shuffle, but we just need to draw non-lands forever. I'm going to play the Blossoming Sands on turn 1, I think. So either it's going to be either Evolving Wilds or Blossoming. Don't like how many cards our opponent is drawing, even at the expense of life. So they attack for 2. We're not going to block. We gain far too much value off these Soul Wardens than we ever could chumping right now. God's Willing is fine. If they attempt at Chittering Rats, we just pro one of our Soul Wardens and okay, that's even better. So we're going to give the Soul Warden Pro Black. We're going to send that straight to the bottom. Just because it doesn't do anything for us right now that we're not already doing. I mean, it might be nice. He might Edict us this turn and kill our stuff, but it is what it is. I would rather draw something good than draw another redundant card. So this is kind of something good. It gets our token train started. He might kill it right away, but even if he does, we have nothing else to do, and we just gain 2 life for essentially nothing. So I'm pretty comfortable with our life total, but I'm not comfortable with the fact that our opponent does something every turn. We're down to 0 cards in hand, and they have 4, and enough mana to cast everything in their deck, minus a Gurmag Angler. So they cast an Unmake, which, if this deck list is similar to mine at all, that's a 1-of in the sideboard. It's a pretty sweet card, actually. I like it a lot. I'm surprised it doesn't see more play. Not in Pauper specifically, but just in general. Tendrils of Corruption. Alright, well, we're going to start this gravy train of flowing. They're cutting off our life gain again, which is fine. It didn't really, it would have helped last game, but it didn't end up being the linchpin. So they're back up to 26. We've got us token. We're not going to block. We are just going to take the 4 and go to 23. And we're going to try to keep making tokens. Okay, sweet. Sweet, sweet, sweet. It's not perfect, but it trades with both of their creatures, and they cannot stop it from attacking. They can't remove it unless they make us sack it. But that said, they're not going to be able to make us sack anything because we're going to have so many tokens. Because even if they do it now, we just sack in response. Or tap in response, make another token, sack the one that's tapped. Yeah, you make us Scrolls of Corruption, Gray Merchant of Asphodel, etc. Tapping stuff the way I'm tapping, I'm just kind of doing it. Doesn't really make a difference. Everything's going to get tapped at the end of their turn anyway. So now we've got this. Oh, we're just drawing money after money. So this is probably going to get killed. I'm okay with that, because now we're taking control of the game. Even if this dies, we're going to get to create, what, 3 more tokens? And gain 3 life, go back up to 23. And our There's a lot of bad draws that we still have left in this deck. Not a lot of them are land, fortunately, but still some bad draws left, like this one. This wasn't a great draw for us. We do get to scry, though, which is great. Ooh, we're going to put that right on the top. So their duress fizzles, because we have no cards in hand. All their hand hate spells are given that we dumped our hand, like, it sucks that we don't have any cards in our hand and no action right now, except for blocking. But it means that all their hand hate spells just fizzle. So we're just going to play this. Might just die. I doubt it, given that they haven't killed our Evangel yet. If it were me on the other side of the table, I would have killed that thing a long time ago, because look at our board now. Look at how many creatures we have. Like, if they attack again like they did before, I'm going to double block one of them, just to get their devotion off the table. So they're going to unmake it. Is that 2 unmakes? Yep. In response, let's go ahead and tap him. And then our guard is exiled. We have a Soul Warden and then a Midnight Guard in exile now. So we have 3 Midnight Guards left and the 4 Presence of God left to draw. If we draw Presence of God, I'm going to throw it on one of these tokens. Probably the plant. Just because it's a throwaway that we can always leave up. Hopefully they attack. Aw, dang. Another Outcat, or Outlander. That's good. That's really good for us. I mean, we're drawing good creatures. They're just killing us faster. The reason I'm attacking here... Oh, crap, I shouldn't have. He didn't block, which is good news for us. And I think we just leave up these 2 from now on. He might just be on the time plan now, which is a totally valid plan to be on. Hopefully I can outrace him. Ooh, okay. So this is also good for us. Now we have some 2/3s and some 1/3s and some 1/2s. So I think he just F6 through his turn. I don't know if that was intentional or not. Alright, so the plains... I think we have enough creatures that we can start attacking. With our at least one of our pro-black guys, if not both of them. Yeah, I think this is fine. So they take 4, go to 25 and pass. Even Shrivel doesn't get there now. They'd have to Disfigure and then Shrivel. Phyrexian Rager is good. I don't like that they draw a card, but I'm glad that they're going down to 24. It's less work for us. So we're almost at 5 minutes. So there's the Angler, which I'm surprised didn't come down sooner. Sure. Nothing. This game has been a whole lot of dirtling. Gray Merchant. Ooh, this might kill us. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Yep. Yep, that hurts. See, this is why we're in trouble. Because we have all these creatures, but they can just get over us. Oh, shit. So there's the Presence. I have incentive to leave it in my hand in case we draw the win condition. I'm not sure it's good. I'm going to keep it in hand just because if we draw the guard next turn, we win the following turn after we play it. But I can see it's easily just losing it to a Chittering Rats or 2. Yep. Yep. They get it. Should have cast it. I took the risk. Didn't really work out for us. Nothing we can do about it. I was betting on one of 2 cards not being duress when they have 21 left, but there's nothing we can do about it. He got the duress out of our hand. We can start Sprouts forming again if we draw one. Because they've duressed us 3 times. If the graveyard will stay open. 1, 2... Twice. And they've done the wrench mind. Okay. Journey to Nowhere is good. Let's take care of the 5/5. Part of me wanted to take one of the other two, but one of the 2 devotion cards, but any Gray Merchant just kills us. We have enough creatures that I'm gonna start beating down for 4. We're short on time. If we go to game 3, I don't think we're gonna make it. I have to hope and pray that we can kill them this game and win that way. I'm just going to do this now to get it out of the way so I can F6 and not take any more time. This might lead to us playing carelessly, but I don't think there's anything we could do. We could just go on the mill plan and hope to live for 19 turns. So I'm just going to pass, attack for 2, or attack for 4. Say go. I mean, maybe we should have started attacking sooner and started dirtling less, but I don't think that we were in a position to survive a shrivel. Like, if they shriveled us here and it killed all of our stuff, we would just die. There's no way we could block it. Paying costs. Alright, Grammatic Angler, fine. Oh, that didn't really work out. Well, we get another Outlander. We get to start beating in for 6. Like, I'm pretty much just waiting for them to draw Gray Merchant number 3. There's highly likely that they're going to do it. It could happen this draw. That's how likely it is. Rager, especially with how many cards they're drawing and how much mana they have. They filtered a lot. There's not a lot they could draw that doesn't kill us in this situation. They might just be holding on to her. They might just... Oh, okay, so they're going to swing all out. They're going to try to go for it. Alright, we're going to kill that guy. No, we don't kill that guy. We kill that guy. Blocks. Doesn't really matter. Tokens die. We could go to 1, but I don't see any reason to do that. Great. That's slightly frustrating. I think we still just attack for 4. If we can be fast enough, we'll be okay. But I don't know if they attack